Okay, and here we go. First of all, I called my talk Teachers in Action using podcasts to enhance students' language skills. Why did I use podcasts? Because they are available in almost most mobile phones have podcasts. So they are something that teachers and students as well can get access to so easy. Now, what is a podcast? A podcast is something that is so similar to, let's say, a talk radio, for example, but they are more personalized. Why? Because you can choose whatever you want to listen to through a podcast. But on radio, there are just scheduled programs. With podcasts, it's totally different. You can choose to listen to whatever you need to, whenever you want to. And also, it has series of episodes related to many topics, and they focus on the spoken or the audio aspect, and they are also focusing on certain themes. What are the topics that can be dealt in with podcasts? First, they deal with things related to or topics related to business, maybe comedy, education, health, TV and films, kids and family, and this is important, news and politics, society and culture is also important for teachers. We have maybe science and medicine, we have sports, which students do love, we have technology, which we are apt to follow these days, we have games and hobbies, we have music, and we have also health of the cook, and this of the paint, because it has many things related to art and cooking and so on. So there are variety of topics that suit many people, many ages, and many interests. What are the types of podcasts? Basically, we have three types of podcasts. The first of all is that the authentic podcasts, which are available for all people, they are not aimed for a certain thing. For example, they are not aimed to be educational, but we can often use them as a rich source for our students in the classes. They are genuine sources of real life language and situations. They can be used, but especially with high level students, they cannot be used with young learners. The second type of podcasts are the teacher podcasts, which are, as apparent from the title, they are produced by teachers. Why do they produce such podcasts? Simply because this helps them in their classrooms and with their own students. So it means that a teacher podcast can be adopted to the level of the students, which we as teachers teach, and can be adopted by any teacher else to suit the level of the students he or she teaches. So this means that teacher podcast can be just prepared as a way of supporting the age and the level of the students in the class. The third type of podcasts is, as we see in this picture, students podcasts, which are podcasts created by the students themselves and produced by them. Why do they produce such a podcast? This will be simply in response to, for example, a question or a topic that the teacher asks them to deal with or to write about, and the teacher helps them to produce this podcast. Okay, it can be about culture, it can be about their own lives, and it simply can be a part of learning, as it can be a PBL or a project based learning. What are the benefits of podcasting? First of all, we have student engagement. Because when you ask the students to whether to listen to a podcast or to create a podcast themselves, this means that they will be totally engaged, whether in person or in groups. Also, it helps them to improve reflective thinking because they listen to something, they think about it, and then they reflect. Also, it enhances something related to STEAM education because it includes many topics that we can integrate, also improves the 21st century skills, and teaches the four C's. What are the different skills that podcasts enhance? As we see in the pictures, they are listening, speaking, and writing. So there are many skills that podcasts can enhance. First of all, it enhances the listening skills because students listen to authentic podcasts, to podcasts by their own teachers or other teachers, so they listen to the language in a context that differs totally from that which is taught in the classroom. It teaches them speaking, and they can speak easily because they will speak about something that they heard in the podcast or they listened to in the podcast, and also something that is so interesting to them. It enhances their writing abilities. How? Because when I listen and speak, the teacher can change this into a writing activity. So he or she can give the students some questions or about things related to the podcast, and then they can write about it. For example, they will listen for something related to a journey and maybe the USA, and they can write about it. So this helps them to enhance the writing skills. Also, it can enhance their storytelling abilities, the way they collaborate, media literacy, increases their technological abilities and their presentation skills, as well as their information literacy. How can teachers use podcasts to create activity most beneficial? It can be used in both listening comprehension quizzes and listening comprehension discussions. You as teachers can ask them to listen to a certain podcast and try to find some answers to questions that you will give them post listening. And if we use it as a comprehension discussion, you can give them some questions like who speaks, what are they speaking about, why do they speak about this thing, where do they speak, so you just enhance their critical thinking abilities and their listening abilities. And this can be done whether in pairs or in small groups. Also, there is an activity that I did like: write a letter to the podcaster. So you can write a letter for the podcaster asking him or her, why did you write about this? What if you add a certain idea to your podcast? It might be better. So this encourages our students to think and to speak. There are some different activities for students to do by themselves without the help of the teacher. They can have an audio tour. I, as a teacher, can assign them to do something as homework. For example, you have an audio tour, you listen about something related to a journey or another place, and you can talk about it. You can explore culture about other nations. You can help to, for example, ask them to talk or to listen to podcasts about current events about this. You can also ask them to bring story to life. You can ask them to listen to a certain podcast about a certain story, and then they can act this in the classroom by themselves. Oh, also, they can listen to a podcast about a book and they can write a book review. So all of this can be done as a homework or a group work inside the classroom. And this helps us to achieve the point about PBL. the best. The tips whenever you choose a podcast, just keep it short. Shorter is always better. And before choosing a podcast, listen to it, analyze the content, because you have to choose something which is suitable to the culture of your students, to their age, and also to their language level. And before assigning using podcasts for your students, just think very well. How are you going to handle this? What are you going to do before, while, and after listening? And I hope that I am on
Great.
time. And a big thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I decided to give you an extra 15 seconds because of traffic. I'm very impressed. You're really a great multitasker. You're talking, you're showing slides, and driving at the same time. Amazing.
I'm just sitting in the car.
I know. Amani, thanks
Thanks.
so much.
Thank